and everything, but nice temperatures. Yeah. Spring has pretty much arrived here, so that's nice.
Good, good. That's nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too. Thank you, David. And thank you for doing the interview and everything. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. I'm very sorry about yesterday, by the way. Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
don't worry about it. No apologies. No apologies.
but
But
I got a blog out of it this morning. I write a blog for my home song page, and I refer to the importance of keeping time for appointments, and I link to your podcast as well. So,
oh, thank you so much. Um, so tell us about yourself. Give us some background.
uh, so um, well, I'm a songwriter, singer-songwriter, among my other attributes. But for the last 35 years or so, I've been a husband and a parent. I've got 5 children and 5 foster children. We foster care. So,
Okay.
so we've been busy with that. And
So
caring
that
has been my main profession over the years. So.
so that keeps you on your toes, I'm sure.
Uh-huh. It certainly does.
Uh, so tell us a little bit about Home Song. I've heard of it. I recently got to know it through Dave.
Yeah, Dave McCann.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of your interview with him. Yeah, he's a lovely guy. I got to know him through doing this, but Home Song originally started with me hearing about the idea of gigs in homes. I'm just going to ask my wife to, because she's just come in and she's not aware that. Okay, sorry about.
It's okay.
Um, yeah, I've written songs for Ever and a Day, and I heard some time ago, a number of years, about the idea of home concerts, which I think are referred to in the States. Um, and I love the idea. Yeah, it sounded like my kind of gig for the sort of music I write. Um, and I ended up hosting them in our house here, um, just inviting artists down to come and play. I thought, well, if I'm interested in doing them, I might as well try and host them too. Um, so far, we've had about 30, I think, different artists come and play at our house. And that was how it originally started. But then, of course, the dreaded C happened.
Yes.
Um, and we couldn't do it. And I started just hosting things online instead. Um, and so over the last 2 years, I've probably hosted about getting on for 300 online little gigs, just usually for one artist until recently playing 4 songs. Um, and that is actually, having said all that, coming to an end tonight. We're doing our uh, 200th of what I call Home Songs for Life, which was the sort of thing that came afterwards. And it's going to be the last for a while. I'm taking a break.
Okay. Yeah, that in a way that's kind of sad because I've actually grown to enjoy them.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And a lot of people have. Obviously, there's a lot of live music happening out, but that's not really the main reason. I probably would have carried on, except for the fact that it's been hard to get a consistency of technical quality. The music's been great, the people have been great. I've enjoyed the hosting side of it and playing myself sometimes, but the technical side of things has been very up and down, and that's been the biggest stress, really, because you know, being the host, I feel responsible for all of that, and I want everybody to sound great, and you can't guarantee that. I certainly can't with the levels of expertise or lack of expertise and the equipment that I've got. So yeah, it's time for a break, and I'm still going to be pushing the idea of gigs in homes because that's my big thing. It's live music in people's houses, which is the thing that I'm really big on.
Were you thinking about recording any of those and putting them out or just
I've thought about it. In fact, we've had the odd one. I've got a home song YouTube page, um, and we've got one that was. Part of the reason I'm doing these is because, and it's become perhaps more important. Obviously, there's a lot of online stuff now, and that's great. I think it's important. But one of the reasons I like home song is because we are becoming more of a worldwide community, but sometimes we're losing the local as well. Um, and I think it's nice to have things, music events that exist, or anything that exists that's just happens in that moment that nobody else sees, that only the people that were there get to experience.
Mhm.
I think there's a good thing in that. I think we need more of that because there's so much entertainment out there that you can watch on repeat.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's overkill sometimes. It's just too much. So I think to have those moments where it's just you and a few other people, a few songs, um, I find that a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, do you feel like because there is just this huge plethora of genres and different musicians out there, do you feel sometimes that it's too much?
Online, perhaps it's hard. I mean, it's exciting as well. There's so much that you can discover, and that can be good. But yeah, clearly there's. I mean, I've discovered I heard David McCann mention the talent is timeless thing, which has become a thing on the Facebook page. And what you realise just from the people that are involved with that, who most of them of whom are not professionals in any sense, just how much talented musicians and songwriters are out there. So there's a lot of it. Uh, Coming back to the home song thing, I think there's an audience for everybody. I mean, if you've got a decent set of songs, we all do our own stuff, and clearly people's music is different and it's not for everybody. But I think there's an audience for all these decent songwriters, and sometimes it's just a case of not thinking, oh, I've got to make the big time. It's a case of saying, who are the people who are going to like my music? And I think home song is one way of helping people to discover musicians they like. So it's narrowing down the audience and not aiming for the skies. I don't think we're in an age of, oh, you've got to reach everybody. I think you've just got to reach a few. And I've got the cat come to say hello here. So
You have a cat too.
we do, yeah, yeah, Luna.
I have a cat named Sophia.
Okay. Perhaps they'll meet one online one time.
Yeah. Oh, so yourself, how long have you played?
Um, so guitar since I was about 15, I think. That happened just at that time. I was involved, brought up in churches and things like that. So it happened in the church context of churches. And I never planned to be a songwriter. I just sort of fell into it. And looking back, I think it was inevitable because I always enjoyed playing with words. And if I ever heard a tune, I would sing it along, but always change it. So yeah, I think it was kind of inevitable. I ended up writing songs, and really that's my passion. I'm most happy at that moment where I've sort of into a song and realised, there's something I'm getting here. Yeah, it's a cool feeling.
Oh yeah, yeah, I'm sure. And the nice feeling is, and I mentioned this to a number of artists, that you kind of leave something of yourself behind, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, really that. I mean, we all need to express ourselves in some way, don't we? And it just goes back to the days of the Stone Age cavemen painting on the caves. I always think, and you trying to make a mark, just say I was here. Um, we need to do that. We need to do that, and it's helped me. A lot of because we grew up in an age where music was a big deal, and that a lot of songwriters of my era uh, came in with the idea of, oh, you could get a hit and you could make a career and be big and all that sort of thing, and that was in our heads instead of just seeing music as a way of just expressing ourselves, getting things out of us, and that's all it needs to be really at the end of the day. All the rest is a bonus.
Yeah. So have you noticed a lot of changes in music and the music industry over the years?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has completely changed. I mean, uh, more people, most people, in fact, most of the musicians that are making a living are doing it for themselves, really. And it's possible to do that now. Um, and you've got to work at it, of course. I mean, I'm treating my music these days. I'm just seeing it as a hobby. So I'm not in the business in that sense, apart from that I like to promote other songwriters. Um, but yeah, it's changed, and like all change, people are struggling with it. There's still people who are still living in that age where, oh, if I get a contract and I get all this sort of thing. I would say to anybody who's trying to do it, just make your music first and foremost. Start making it, do it, and do it from the ground up. Don't go looking for somebody to make you big. Just make the music that you like and try and find your audience because that option is open to everybody now.
Yeah. So did you come from a musical family?
Yeah, I mean, I was very late to sort of this sort of whole, in the widest sense, the genre of popular music because, as I say, my folks were very religious, so I came from a religious background, and that was the sort of music I heard. In fact, we didn't even have a record player till I was about 15. Um, no, so I was kind of very backward in that respect. But I still heard music, and my dad played piano and organ. He was a good pianist. My sister played trombone, and I understand that I've got a sort of cousin from a little bit further back who was sort of broadcast on radio and playing piano and that sort of thing. So there's something in the background anyway. Must have been something in the water.
So even though you came from a religious background and everything, did you have any inspirations that kind of moved you more towards music and songwriting?
So yeah, I mean, it wasn't. I didn't hear any contemporary music. I wasn't sort of too isolated, but um, yeah, I think the period where I really got into music was sort of the very late 70s, early 80s, and then we got in the UK Top of the Pops, which was every week that was a thing, and the variety of songwriting and expression forms of expression that you were hearing at that point was tremendous. Looking back, I think it was exceptional, um, and yeah, that got me into and I didn't care about a genre particularly. I was always into the song. Yeah, did I like the song? Wasn't even into particularly bands or artists, particular artists. It was just a case of did I like a song? Um, and that could be anything and everything.
Okay. So you weren't like discriminating against any form of genre or anything else. You just kind of liked it all.
Mostly, yeah. I mean, yeah, I've got got my favourites and things I prefer. And I'm not a massive, for instance, a massive jazz fan. Um, uh, but yeah, there'll still be stuff in every genre that I think I love. And even if I don't love it, I can appreciate it on a um, technical level. Just say, wow, that's amazing. So, but yeah, perhaps I should mention some artists that have influenced me. I don't know. The Kinks was a band I got into early on. David Bowie, I think, is a brilliant artist. Simon and Garfunkel, uh, The Killers. Yeah,
Yeah.
so, a right mixture. Um,
So are you doing any more songwriting recently?
because of this Home Songs for Life thing that I've been doing, I think my songwriting sort of took a backwards stage, but it's always something I've had to do really. Sometimes I just get to a point where regardless of anything, I have to write a song. It's um, more often than not at the moment. The times I'm doing it are I've got a group of songwriting friends who we've met for about 15 years or so, and we go away every year on a retreat for the purpose of songwriting. So that's a time when I definitely set aside for writing songs now. Um, and life at home has been it's been a bit harder to fit the songwriting in at home.
So will you be going on the retreat with your friends again or
Yep. Yeah,
okay.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. In fact, that's twice a year we do that. So it's been a lifesaver for me. In fact, the last of these home songs for lives tonight. I've got three. That's happening at 7 o'clock tonight, the BST. Uh, Although that people won't be seeing this before that happens, I imagine. But so I've got three friends from that songwriting group who are also being on this Home Songs for Life thing, and it's nice to be finishing off with them.
Okay. Can we get a guess at who your guests are? Can you tell
Uh,
us or can you tell us who your guests are
Sure.
or
Yeah, yeah. So it's Gary Carey, Darren James, and Tina Pluchino.
okay.
Um,
Okay. Yeah,
they're also good friends as well.
like I said, it's kind of sad that it's coming to an end, but yet at the same time, I can see why needing a break and everything.
Yeah, yeah, that it's not beyond. I, we may well return to this at some point. One of the good things for me, I've met people doing this. There's some of the songwriters who I've not met in person yet, but who are kind of becoming friends just by by virtue of the times we've met doing the gigs online, and that's been nice too.
So when COVID hit, um, and you started doing this, was it difficult being a musician and everything, or did you have other things to fall back on?
Yeah, be- it was leading up to COVID because I live quite a long way from anywhere, Campbelltown in Kintyre, um, in Scotland, and just because of family commitments and the sort of commitments to do with the foster care in particular, I wasn't able to go off and do lots of touring and gigging further afield. So most of my gigging had been local, and that was limited anyway. So it didn't affect me as it has some people who are sort of managing to gig every week, and obviously those who are doing it professionally, which again I wasn't. Um, it hit them hardest, and they've had a real hard time of it. So yeah, kudos for them to keep going really through all this.
Yeah, because I know for a lot of people it was pretty difficult at times.
Yeah, yeah, certainly was. Yeah, I think it's been difficult for everybody. I mean, it's just been such a weird period of our lives. Not anything that most of us have experienced before. So
So are you guys pretty much back to normal now?
pretty much, yeah, yeah. We're all trying to work out what the new normal is, aren't we? But
Yeah. Or what seems normal?
yeah, it's odd that having been out the habit of going out, it's actually, for instance, I haven't done the gigs here in our house, and I'm having to sort of build the sort of motivation up again Um, you get out the habit of going out, you get out of the habit of all these things, and life becomes in one sense simpler. But I think it's important that we try and rediscover some of that.
So have any of your children picked up music?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's nice that they're all, it's often a thing that our kids hate their parents' music, but my boys seem to be okay with my stuff. But as players, no. A couple of them play a bit of keyboard. I don't play keyboard at all, but I just play acoustic guitar. But none of them have really gone into it seriously now. So yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
put them off or something.
Um, so do you have any like future gigs or future albums that you're thinking about in the future?
Um, yeah, albums. Wow, I wish they were a thing still. Well, they are a thing still, but they're not in the same way they used to be. What I've been doing for the last nearly 10 years um, is I do release a song every month to my the people on my mailing list, and I call it Fee Comes Fourth. Every fourth of the month, in fact, today is the I've just released one, and I've done 120 of those now. So that's been something that's just I've kept up religiously, really. Every single month, on the fourth of the month, I take a song, and I've got a good backlog of songs to do record yet, uh, and I try and get a decent recording. Better than a demo, but probably not quite as good as a full release, simply because of the time limit. We set a time limit, and there's a particular time I work on it with a friend, and
When
so
did you,
no
oh,
plans for
I'm sorry. When did you start doing The Fee Comes Forth?
yeah, it was June the 4th, some year or other, about 8 or 9 or 10 years ago. Enough to get 120 songs recorded anyway. I can't remember the exact date or the year. I had done an album, one album before that. That's my only solo album as such. And I've done another shared one with a friend under the name, a band name called the Strunts, which was a kind of semi political thing, but not really. It was a bit different from the stuff I've done, but we're really proud of it. That's called Too Much of Everything, which is a relevant title for our times, I think.
uh, so tell us, where can people find you if they're interested in your music?
So www.featunes.com is
Oh,
and then uh, yeah, the other thing is the home song, of course. So I'm playing on there along with everybody else who's ever played, and that's well, the website to do with home song is homesong.co.uk. Uh, I've become a little bit stuck about which I should be promoting more, my own stuff or
home
home song,
song.
because that's become a passion really, and I hope perhaps one feeds into the other. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, you never know. Well, thank you so much, David, for doing this interview. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me, and yeah, I appreciate that, and it's nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you.